It's Wednesday, March 11th. In the headlines, Finance Minister Favour Williams says strong net international reserves will help Jamaica manage oil price spike. Health Ministry activates contingency measures following the end of a Cuba cooperation agreement. In business news, government working on an updated pension fund regulation to allow for more investments. Regionally, Cuba is preparing to withdraw its medical brigade from Guyana. And in sports, CPL franchise commits millions to boost professional cricket in Jamaica. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Finance and the Public Service Minister, Favour Williams, says Jamaica is well positioned to withstand rising global oil prices, pointing to the country's strong net international reserves as a key safeguard. Speaking during her opening presentation in the 2026-2027 budget debate in the House of Representatives on Tuesday, Williams said Jamaica's reserves currently stand at $6.8 billion, enough to cover approximately 36 weeks of imports.
The global international benchmark is 12 weeks, meaning it's considered adequate for a country if its gross reserves covers 12 weeks of goods and services import.
She sought to reassure Jamaicans that the country has the financial capacity to continue importing oil despite volatility on the global market.
We know that the true purpose of the NIR is to protect Jamaica against the vagaries of the external world. One such is a significant sudden movement in oil prices. Madam Speaker, here is a perfect example of why we should not party with the rent money. We should not party.
The recent spike in global oil prices has been driven by escalating tensions in the Middle East, following joint airstrikes launched by the United States and Israel on Iran on February 28. Iran has since retaliated with attacks on several Middle Eastern countries it believes are assisting the United States by hosting American military bases or offering other support. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says regional health authorities have been instructed to activate contingency plans to ensure critical services remain operational as the technical cooperation agreement between the government of Jamaica and the government of Cuba wraps up. Speaking during a recent press brief, Dr. Tufton said the ministry will implement a short-term surge plan that includes revising duty rosters, increasing overtime, and extending work hours for medical staff.
So I'm not saying it will be easy because there are overtime requirements and, wear and tear on local staff will be a challenge in some areas. Sometimes you may experience some delays. But we have a plan, we're working the plan, and we believe that any disruption that may be caused will be overcome in a relatively short period of time.
Dr. Tufton also indicated that the ministry is exploring the outsourcing of some services through the private sector as an additional short-term measure.
Guyana is one of those countries that has an excess of nurses. It's a similar training protocol, and we have signed off on the MOU. The MOU is now with them, but we are encouraged by the feedback, and we believe that we could quickly turn that around over the medium term meaning within 3 to 6 months, to see those specialists where we have gaps filling that. And the same for Nigeria. We have also gotten Cabinet's approval to do direct recruiting through private initiatives, meaning recruiters. It's not unusual. And the connections and the network that we have established allows us to do that.
There are currently 260 Cuban health professionals working in Jamaica's public health system. The government says it is strengthening the early childhood education system to improve learning outcomes for Jamaica's youngest students. Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon has announced that by September 2026, every early childhood institution across the island will have at least one trained teacher. The commitment was made during the Standing Finance Committee's review of the 2026-2027 estimates of expenditure, where the minister outlined ongoing efforts to boost teaching quality and expand support for early learning institutions.
Responding to questions posed during her session, Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon revealed that currently more than 100 basic schools across Jamaica are operating without a trained teacher, a gap the government is now working to close.
What we have done as government in understanding the importance of the early years is to provide every early childhood institution with at least one trained teacher. And so we pay that salary.
The minister explained that the initiative is part of broader support being provided to early childhood institutions, many of which are privately operated but receive government assistance to maintain standards.
These are private institutions that the government of Jamaica has put in money, and it's not just paying for a trained teacher so that we can increase the quality. It has also been assisting with maintenance, training of those persons in those institutions.
She adds that the government is expanding support for caregivers through stipends while continuing to grow early childhood infrastructure across the island.
Yes. Many of those institutions, we even provide support for the caregivers that are there through a stipend. So we're doing a lot, and we're not stopping there. So in terms of infant departments, we are building more infant departments that are attached to our primary schools. And we have more brain builder centers that we're building every year. So each year we're continuing to build out the number of institutions.
Officials say the measures are part of a wider push to improve learning outcomes and ensure Jamaican children receive a strong educational foundation from their earliest years. Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I am Denida Rodney.
Minister of Labour and Social Security Pernell Charles Jr. says 100,000 homes have been assessed under the ROOFS program. That is the Restoration of Owner or Occupant Family Shelter program. And many have been verified for aid.
After they do the assessment, it goes in to be verified to ensure that the information is accurate, to ensure that we can reduce the duplications, and to make sure that the persons who are to get are the persons who are on our list.
He was speaking at this week's post-cabinet press brief. Time now for the business report with Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing you the developments shaping markets, capital access, and business decision-making across Jamaica and the region. Let's get into the stories that matter. Finance Minister Favour Williams, in yesterday's budget debate presentation, announced that pension funds will be allowed to invest a greater percentage of funds to stimulate the economy. The pension fund private asset limit is currently 5% and will move to total assets of 7.5%. There will also be an increase for investment in foreign assets. By early in the new fiscal year, the expectation is that the regulations will increase the foreign asset limit for pension funds and insurance companies from 10% to 15% of total assets. This, Minister Williams told the House of Representatives represents a measured, reversible step to allow funds to begin reallocating to well-governed private investments that match their long-term liabilities. At the end of September 2025, pension funds held approximately 847 billion Jamaican dollars in invested assets. However, under the first phase of this change, an additional 21.2 billion Jamaican dollars of long-term capital will be allocated to be invested in private companies. This will be subject to supervisory monitoring and absent any unforeseen adverse developments. The taxation on digital services has not identified which digital services will be taxed. The government expects to collect 300 million Jamaican dollars from the proposed tax on digital services in the next fiscal year and 4.2 billion in the following year. However, Finance and Public Service Minister Favour Williams says the specific services to be taxed have not been identified. Speaking in Parliament's Standing Finance Committee, Williams explained that the government is working with the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development to determine what qualifies as taxable digital services internationally. She said it would therefore be premature to disclose which digital services will fall under the new tax regime at this time. The minister told the committee that the administration will provide further details at a later date, while noting that digital services now represent a significant share of global economic activity and gross domestic product. For the trading period of March 10, 2026, the most actively traded securities were Wigton Energy Limited with 4,953,762 units, representing 21.06% of market sales activities. Kentire Holdings Jamaica Limited with 3,993,241 units, representing 16.98% of market sales activities. Trans Jamaica Highway Limited shares with 3,298,289 units, representing 14.02% of market sales activities. Investor activity remained concentrated in transportation, media, and solar energy plays, signaling continued interest in dividend-producing and strategic assets. Turning to the foreign exchange market based on Bank of Jamaica data for March 10, 2026, Forex traders recorded significant activity with strong demand across major currencies. For the US dollar, trading margins reflected steady liquidity, with the US selling at $157.71 and buying at $155.61. For the Canadian dollar, moderate gains supported by 94-cent transaction spreads. The Canadian dollar sold for $114.38 and was bought for $115.82. For the British pound, continued volatility offered short-term trading opportunities of $1.18 in profits for the banks. The British pound sold $210.54 and was bought for $211.72. These movements underscore the importance of cash flow timing and currency awareness for businesses managing import costs, debt servicing, or overseas exposure. For the credit report tip of the day, every parent wants to give their children opportunities. Education often feels like the greatest gift you can provide. But here's the important truth. Supporting your child's future should not require sacrificing your own. A careful review of your credit report helps you answer critical questions. Are there existing debts that could be refinanced to lower monthly costs? Is your credit strong enough to access affordable education financing if needed? Are there balances quietly draining cash flow that should be reduced? When you understand the full picture, you move from reacting emotionally to acting strategically. And that shift from reaction to strategy is where real financial power begins. For our funded and focused feature, entrepreneurs know that everything has a cost, and artificial intelligence is no different. How much help AI gives is based on your budget. And so let's look at a set of tools that can work together for your business. In this feature, we'll start with someone with a basic budget of US $60 per month. We'll call it the Solopreneur Stack. These are beginner-friendly tools that are best for freelancers, consultants, small online businesses, one-person companies. What this AI setup does is write content and emails, organize leads and customers, help send invoices, track simple finances, automate small tasks. Think of it as your first AI office assistant. This setup can save dozens of hours every month. So here's some recommended tools. For content and writing assistant, ChatGPT helps write emails, social media posts, proposals, and marketing content. For simple customer relationship management tools and email outreach, consider HubSpot CRM, which tracks potential clients and help manage follow-ups. For invoicing and simple bookkeeping, consider Wave, which offers easy invoicing and financial tracking for small businesses. For task automation, consider Zapier, which connects apps together so tasks happen automatically. For meeting notes and summaries, consider Otter AI, which records meetings and creates automatic notes. And that's today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing clarity to capital, markets, and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and keep building forward. See you soon.
In regional news, Cuban officials are preparing to withdraw the country's medical brigade from Guyana after the government moved to pay Cuban workers and nurses their full salaries directly, instead of sending the majority of the payments to the Cuban government. Cuban medical professionals have been working in Africa, South America, and the Caribbean for decades under bilateral agreements that both generate revenue for the Cuban government and provide healthcare services in countries facing shortages of medical personnel. However, the program has faced growing criticism from the United States, with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio describing the arrangement as a form of forced labor. Guyana's Health Minister Frank Anthony told reporters on Monday that the Cuban authorities have decided to end the nearly 50-year program. NCN Guyana tells us more.
The Cubans withdraw their medical workers who were here, and so the whole thing came to an end. It was done in February.
Minister Anthony explained that despite this decision, not all Cuban healthcare workers departed the country when the partnership ended. He noted that several of them chose to remain and are now employed and paid by the government. Dr. Anthony also assured that the departure of the Cuban Medical Brigade will not affect the healthcare system, emphasizing that measures are being implemented to strengthen and expand the local healthcare workforce.
A lot of the people who were on the brigade were nurses, and through our training program, we are compensating for those that would have been withdrawn. This year, for example, because 3 years ago we started a registered nursing program, and by June of this year we'll be graduating close to 800 persons, and they would come into service.
The minister also noted that discussions are ongoing with the government of Trinidad and Tobago to finalize an agreement that would allow doctors seeking employment to work locally once the criteria is met. For the NCN News, Celestine Chacon.
Barbados is moving to strengthen national planning by placing greater emphasis on data and economic analysis in population policy. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Investment, Jennifer Hunt, highlighted the initiative at the opening of a regional workshop on population modeling at Hotel Indigo. Trevor Thorpe reports.
The workshop is examining the degree of urbanization methodology and the international standard used to classify urban, semi-urban and rural areas to help governments make more precise development decisions. Ms. Hunt said the initiative aligns with the Global United Nations New Urban Agenda, which supports the achievement of Sustainable Development Goal 11, focused on creating safer, more sustainable and resilient cities and human settlements. She says Barbados is pursuing a holistic model of development that balances economic growth, social priorities, and environmental sustainability.
With the frequency and intensity of extreme weather disturbance likely to continue, and other realities such as our aging population and our shrinking labor force, there is need to rethink the approach to physical development. The development of the degree of urbanization, the Gerber methodology, provides an important step towards harmonizing how we understand and measure settlement patterns, allowing our countries to produce more comparable and relevant data.
Ms. Hunt said the regional workshop is designed to do more than just introduce new analytical tools.
This workshop will therefore take a practical, step-by-step approach, beginning with the development and validation of small area population estimates and progressing to the application of the Gerber methodology to generate harmonized settlement classifications and policy-relevant analysis.
Meanwhile, British High Commissioner to Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean Simon Mustard said the timing of the workshop is significant as governments worldwide face rising costs and difficult decisions.
But it is more crucial now than it ever has been. Having accurate data, knowing where people are, what they do, where they live, what they think in some cases, is as important now for policymakers as it has been, frankly, since the Second World War.
The 5-day workshop will continue tomorrow. Trevor Thorpe for the Business Report.
Trinidad and Tobago is moving to modernize access to its laws by giving official legal status to digital copies. The Law Revision Amendment Bill 2026, approved unanimously in the Senate, will allow verified online versions of legislations to carry the same legal authority as the traditional printed volumes. Officials say the change will improve public access, boost investor confidence, and save taxpayers millions now spent printing the country's laws overseas.
The courts sit online. Everyone views the Parliament channel online. You can find Acts of Parliament on the Parliament website. You can find bills on the Parliament website. Why can't we find the official versions of the law online? And that is what we are doing here today, Mr. President.
While legislation can be accessed online, those versions are not considered legally authoritative. Minister of Land and Legal Affairs Saddam Hussein explained that only the large bound volumes are presently recognized as the official versions of the law. He said the Law Revision Amendment Bill 2026 will change that, allowing verified digital copies to carry the same legal weight.
We are just going to make the laws of Trinidad and Tobago be made available online as official versions of the law. Mr. President, I could say that and take my seat, and I know I can get the support of this House. Currently, all of us, Mr. President, we go online, we download the versions of the law that are available online, but Mr. President, they are not the official versions of the law.
The bill seeks to make online versions of the country's laws officially recognized, replacing long-standing reliance on printed volumes. Minister Hussein added that the move will save taxpayers millions of dollars.
These binders are expensive. The paper is expensive. And Mr. President, when I went into the Law Revision Commission, I asked them, I started to inquire about this particular process. We make our laws locally. The Parliament, this is the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. But do you know our laws are printed abroad? Our laws are not printed locally. Our laws are printed abroad.
Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Daryl Alaha, stressed the importance of the bill, noting that outdated online legislation can deter foreign investors.
Because when investors come here and they can't get a clear view of the law, it undermines confidence in our legal system, Mr. President. And for 10 years, somebody on the outside looking in would wonder, We can't get a straight answer as to what the law is here. We have to go through all of these hoops and all of these hurdles to get an answer as to what the law is.
The Law Revision Amendment Bill 2026 was unanimously approved in the Senate, with all members voting in favor. Daniel John, TTT News.
In sports, we get an update on cricket. Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Olivia Grange, says franchise holders in the Caribbean Premier League have pledged significant investment to strengthen professional cricket in Jamaica. Speaking during the standing finance meeting at the House of Representatives, Minister Grange said the stakeholders have committed an annual investment of $2.7 million to operate a professional men's CPL team in Jamaica. Grange furthers that plans are being made to upgrade the sporting infrastructure, which are expected to help position Jamaica as a premier hub for elite T20 cricket in the region. She says the initiative is designed to generate global exposure for the island while strengthening Jamaica's standing as a leader in the sports tourism sector. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thanks for watching.